How are you doing today? All my family and family out there. As always, greetings of honor to everyone out there. And we give honor to life. That the week is going to be beautiful. Because our intention is a purpose of beauty to everything around us. ALAFIA. Ifami ministry aim is to bridge the gap between man and God, meaning to bridge the gap between man and woman, because there's a lot of gaps between man and woman, and for us to be able to live a life that is beautiful according to the will of God from the onset, we must make attempt to make sure that the gap that keeps separating man and woman is no more. With Morimi Phyla, the strong arms of everlasting God, the strong arms of loving God, we will be able to achieve it. Last week, we talked about concept of God, part 3, and we also linked that to how we all need to release our Kelly. The reason being, we do not want to encounter the real wrath of God all over the planet as a result of our disobediences. Because the concept of God has completed its duty, and we all know without a doubt that God time ends not. Today, the topic that we're going to be talking about is based on ritual or rituals. It's the rituals that man do. When I say man, I mean people. The rituals that man do, is it more practical than God's ways of life for us as people? Let's look at what ritual means. Ritual can be termed as a rite that gives path to a repeated practices of people. It is true rituals that a personal or a community or even universal ethos of people are created. It is clear that ritual of people, it's what we know to be people's cultures, customs, traditions, even religions. It's almost as if there's no rituals, there's no way of life. So rituals on a basic point is just a way of life, how people live their lives. And ritual can even be looked at from a personal level of things, or a community, or even universal. Ritual is what actually makes people who they are innately and physically. When I say innately, I mean spiritual, but I prefer to use the word innately. That's more clear to me than using the word spiritual. So, ritual of people is basically people's way of life. In a basic term, ritual is a way of life. Now, let's look at 2 examples of ritual. The first one would be cosmic law, natural law of life that keeps all of us as one, is how life is created. What do I mean by that? I'm trying to connect with the ultimate love of God upon the universe and everything that is in it. To bring it to a practical format, I would say before a baby is born, 2 people have to get married. They have to make a decision to live the rest of their lives together as one. And then they have to become one in practice before a baby is born, isn't it? I think that that is very practical, and that is God's ultimate love upon everything. And somehow, even that, man will still manage to conceptualize that. And even that ultimate love of God upon our lives becomes a problem. And for that not to even be a problem in our lives anymore, it has to take some work. We have to begin to relate to that aspect of ritual of life from exactly God's intention for us. Meaning when God put two people together as one, we must aim to practicalize that ritual as one. The fact that we refuse to guide that ultimate love of God in our lives with our heart, that is part of the problem that the world is facing today. Sexually, when you think of sex, you remember people taking upon themselves to rape another people. And rape comes in different ways. It could be sexual, it could be trying to attack somebody else's custom or ethos, or religion, or tradition. Now, when we say ritual, it brings about clarity. But when we begin to look at ritual from religion to customs to tradition, it becomes a problem. But when we put all of them together as one, we have clarity that this is the way of God. This is practicality of God in our lives, because I think somewhat, to some extent, man think or make people to think that God is not practical. As a result, man begin to practice their own ways. And we have seen now that man's ways, it's a dead end. It doesn't give clarity, it doesn't give harmony, it doesn't give love. Now, ritual, some people will think of it as some sort of spiritual way of life that are supposed to create problem. No, it's not. It's almost like without ritual, there's no life. Going to bed at night is ritual. God practicality, enabling us to wake up the next day, that's ritual. Having a bath, thinking to go to the kitchen and cook your meal before you eat your meal is a ritual. It just depends what it is that you're doing with your time and how you relate to what you're doing. It's the intention. I wrote a quote. It just came to me yesterday, so it sounded really good, so I wrote it down. I said to myself, talking doesn't impress me much. Action is better. Action doesn't impress me much. Good intention is better. Whatever ritual that you practice, how do you practice it? How do you practice your ritual? Where is the position of God in your ritual? That's what you need to ask yourself, because ritual is not given to us for a purpose of self-destruction, rather for a purpose of guidance. Let's look at a second aspect of a ritual that I think is worth looking at. Warfare. Before a war takes place, people, I think war is of two nature. You have that which they call spiritual war or spiritual attack. And you have the second one that is a physical war. This is ritual. There's ritual in that. Before people go to war, they'll probably take years or long time to plan it out before they actually carry it out physically. right, this kind of ritual, how is that beneficial to life? How is that a move forward in our world? Surely no one can come out and say God is that instruct them to go and be fighting war. Well, we heard of war in the Bible and war in the Quran, but when you are very clear as to the love of God, God does not instruct us to be killing one another, but to be fighting war with one another. We give honor to life, and we give honor to God, everlasting God, strong. We give honor to the strong arms of everlasting God, Moremi Phyla, that the period of war in our lives has come to an end. Because even though the way man has lived their life, seemingly it will not make sense for anyone to be pointing finger at anyone, because that is the one reason why we all know in any form of religion at all that God time will come. And when God time come, what that means is we're not going to be fighting war with one another. We're going to have clarity as to how each one of us is been giving our own unique and specific ethos, meaning way of life, that honor the planet, that honor the universe, that give us capacity to be able to honor one another, to love one another, to respect one another in our own given positions and places and communities without war. With the love of God upon the universe, it is possible. War seemed to me, in my own opinion, a way that man tend to prove themselves supreme to another man. And we forget that God, strong arms of everlasting God, that's watching over all of us, that's protecting the universe, the planet, and everything in it, is supreme. Man must not be fighting war against another man just so you can play God and then you lord your violence or tricks to another person or to another community. I seriously have clarity in my heart that period of warmongering is completed, its duty is completed, its term, because God time ends not, and we have entered into God time now. That's the only reason that I have been given clarity to speak in favor of Ifami ministry. It is a calling for me. It is precisely what I'm meant to be doing with my life, but obviously I didn't have clarity of that until on time. And there's many of us out there that genuinely do have a calling of God upon their lives, and we're busy doing precisely worldly stuff without giving a room to God in our life. And this is why a lot of problems are troubling some people's lives. When you're able to connect with your calling, no matter what anybody else is doing to do you harm, strong arms of everlasting God will just turn it to a protective shield upon that person. I speak through my own experience in that order of things. So anyone who is having trouble that seems seemingly like, this is crazy, I don't deserve this out there, you better know there is one reason why that is happening. You have a calling of God upon your life, and until you connect with that, because when God is calling you, you cannot refuse to answer. The only way forward is to answer the calling of God upon your lives. And a lot of the time when you have calling of God upon your life, people won't tell you. It's either they don't know or it's not given to them to tell you. One way or the other, they just wouldn't tell you. You somehow will have to find out yourself. And one of the ways to find out is when troubles just seems to be looking for you, when you're not a troublemaker in any shape or form. So I'm using this opportunity today to speak to someone out there who might be going through too much trouble for a very long time and you didn't even have a clue why, and you know in your heart that you deserve better. There's a big chance that that is happening to you because you have a calling of God upon your lives. On that note, for those of us who are out there and we still love to live a life of warmongering, of warfare against people, whether they've done anything to you or not, that's just what you do. In my opinion, I'm saying it now, we can see that man waging war against one another is simply a misconduct way of life. It is not God's way. On that note, let's go forward to the instruction of the week. In 2014, I had an experience with strong arms of our everlasting God. I saw in my vision, or it was a dream or just something that I just saw, and it was as clear as day. It was as sand rose up to a height of sea level, like very high, and that sound was consuming a large number of people. It's like a community of people, and after the sound has calmed down, it's almost like a storm. After that, the storm had calmed down, but it was a sand that rose like a water, consuming people. Then when that scenario had finished, it was only scanty people, like one or two or three, few people was coming out after that storm or sea raging. Yeah. And I just woke up. I thought to myself, this is how the world is going to end. That it's not going to be, water won't consume the world now. It is the sand that is going to rise up and consume the world. That's how the world is going to come to an end. It's not going to be water, it will be sand. Now, I think nothing of it. Well, because why should I don't know. I think that's just what I saw. And then 3 weeks after, tsunami took place. I felt for a very long time somewhat guilty. Why did I feel like that? I wish that I had spoken to someone or talked to somebody about it. So why did I speak about that now? The reason why I speak about that now is because I am instructed to. And secondly, it's so that we won't feel like I'm scaremongering the way that I've been going on about R. Kelly. It is a lot more bigger than R. Kelly, than myself, even than the world or the universe put together. It is because some of us were more of those people who are, how can I put it, those people who are of God, like, if you like, archetype people, archangel people, like connected to strong everlasting arms of God. It's through them that God loves the world. Because people like that function, never mind whatever else is going on around them, where I know because I'm like that, we were able to function with our heart. We function better with our heart That doesn't make us weak people. If anything, I never knew the strength of God that's the love of my life. The strength of God in me, all around me, straight path. But obviously I didn't know nothing about this because the way of the world teach you not about that. If anything, you were mentally brainwashed to think that when you're somebody who functions with your heart and you're able to love, you're weak, you're not strong. But I find now that I know who I am properly, I'm still learning that every day is a new day. I find that being able to love with your heart simply means you're one with God, meaning you're one with the universe. And God is heart. And what is stronger than God? I don't think there's anything on this planet or any planet that's stronger than God. It's beyond our knowledge or clarity. It's just what we're given is more than enough for us to have a life that is beautiful according to how God has written it from the onset. So people like this, God, it is through them that God smiles upon us. Just by them being, God smiles upon us because the energy of God is with them, the light of life. These are the people that function with their heart. But of course, when you don't know how to channel that, or the allegory, if you like, of that, because everything has its own ways. When you're a student of the universe, meaning it means your heaven and earth is your teacher. But the world is another thing. If anything, they want to keep you away from that love of God. They want to keep you away from that your calling. They want to keep you away from your purpose. But because God is more practical than man, what God is written must take place on time. It's not going to be on our time or man's time, but on time. And that's why when the ifami ministry was established, I just did precisely what my heart guided me to do. My point, I'm not scaremongering. I'm saying precisely what God has written in my heart. The clarity just becomes clearer every day. That's God. The light of God becomes clearer every day when you connect to your God, strong, everlasting arms of God, not the God that is imaginary, not the God that is stories. I mean strong, loving hands of God that is real, light of life. When you connect with your inner person, your light of life, your creator, the creator of heaven and earth and everything in it, you must definitely have a personal relationship with that God. Now, how that takes place, if anybody says they have the answer to that or how that takes place, well, tell them it's a lie. It is personal. And only you alone can understand it, can have awesomeness, clarity of it. That's why ifami ministry speaks to people about a day to discover your inner man. Otherwise, one would just end up with imaginary Jesus that will never come. Imagination is a beautiful thing when there's God in it. Anything that has no God in it, that has no light of God in it, there's no life in it. And your own inner God is more than enough for you. Like I said before, you don't need to go after somebody else's inner God. Inner God is a person's gift, is a person's purpose, is a person's ethos, is a person's birthright. Man should not deem themselves that, oh, she's a woman, they have right to who that woman is. A woman should not deem herself to say, oh, I have right to who that man is. No. God that created each one of us is practical, is more than able. When you connect with your own God inside of you, that makes whatever else God to make sense, because you've been able to make sense of yourself, and you will not even find it necessary to put blame on anybody. Rather, you'll have clarity as to why this take place and why this did not take place. All of us, we should know how important it is for us to, first of all, stop killing one another. We should know how important it is to have capacity to not be disobedient. Because I speak the way that I do because I am genuine. I don't have any other reason for speaking about R. Kelly the way that I do, except for one thing, for the will of God to prevail, because will of God is already prevailed upon the universe, and there are people that God has put in place to make sure that will of God reign, harmony, happiness, joyfulness upon the universe and everything in it. Now, if we're disobedient, the experience is definitely not going to be joyful. And that is the only reason that I speak forth the way that I do about the situation that is going on about R. Kelly. If it's a drama, it's time that we put an end to it. If it's a real attack on R. Kelly, it's still time that I think, without a doubt, we should put an end to it. Because God does not take lightly to when we decide we'll make up our own God. Because where is God? Where is God? God is always with us. It is us that need to connect. For an African person, for example, to appreciate everything Chinese and nothing African, that is just not appropriate. Never mind what you have gone through as people, that doesn't give you any reason, any excuse to not have clarity as to who your inner God is. Because when you discover that, you will know clearly that you have no reason to think that, Chinese way of life is better than yours. Therefore, you will not elevate who you are. No matter what the reason is, it is time that each one and every one of us begin to elevate who we are. Because when you do that, guess what? What you're doing is you're elevating ancestors. And what our ancestors do, they elevate us. Ancestors are saying, they're not our servants. Not anymore. Which means we must give our ancestors honor and respect that they deserve. And that's the only way they'll be here, to continue to lift us up, because that's how we lift them up. And the first step to that is to know that your house is the house of God, and then you take time out to detox yourself from all forms of habits that is definitely not lifting you up.